Welcome to Feather the Redeemed. As far as our opening hand goes, we've got some. Yeah, I'm not super wild about. We do have card draw, prevent the next one dim. Yeah, let's go and mulligan. I really want to start off with a couple. Oh, there we go. I like this a lot. We'll keep on this one. Austere Command. We'll put that on the bottom for right now. And basically, I want to have a little bit of mana ramp. So we can go Mountain, Soul Ring, Chromatic Lantern. Yeah, that'll. We also have some good protection for Feather. So that's exactly what we want to see. But yes, welcome to Feather the Redeemed. Hope you're excited to get some really fun Boros action today. Channel our inner Boros with PJ. So I like to think about it. We're playing Feather the Redeemed. Flying, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. We're playing against Kuon, Ogre Ascendant, possibly. I think that's how you say it. At the beginning of the end step, if 3 or more creatures die this turn, flip Kuon, Ogre Ascendant. Then at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. So, fairly confident in saying that this is probably one of the first times I've played against him. So really excited. It's always fun getting to play against random commanders like that. So let's go Mountain. We go Soul Ring. And then we go Lightning Greaves. I like that. That'll be some good protection for Feather. And then we're going to go and pass the turn. Now, the only downside with Lightning Greaves is that is Shroud. That's going to keep us from targeting Feather. But if we can keep Feather protected, get another creature down, something like Midgame Tank, then we might be able to kind of really start chain some good stuff together. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you're going to build your very own Boros battalion, be sure to check them out. They will certainly be able to provide you with all the cards that you may need to assemble the Legion with your Boros, especially with Feather out there. Pretty cool. We go Clifftop Retreat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can't go for Feather the Redeemed, and I want to get ahead on mana as quickly as possible if we're going to have a shot at kind of stopping some of these shenanigans from our opponents. So let's go Chromatic Lantern. We'll get that down onto the battlefield, and then anything for 2. No, we'll simply just going to go and pass her. But yeah, be sure to check out MTGOTraders. Even if you're not building Boros, they've got all the cards you need for Modern, Legacy, Vintage, Penny Dreadful, whatever sort of fun format you want to play. And also, shout out to inkgaming.com. You can use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off your order. They've got playmats, dice bags, t-shirts, anything that's going to float your boat for your next Friday Night Magic at your local gaming store. Or you can click down on the link description. You can click on the link in the description below. That will apply the coupon to your cart. Or just go to the website, type in Jolt539, and you'll be able to see some of the cool playmat designs I have. I got some pretty nifty ones out there. I'm not going to tell you. You have to go check it out. All right, so let's go Feather the Redeem. That's going to be a Chromatic Lantern, and then we go red, and then red with Clifftop. Actually, we go white to actually get down Feather. And then we go for Lightning Greaves onto Feather, just to make sure he's nice and protected. There we go. Man, I've been trying to record Feather today, and it has been a struggle. So to get Feather on the battlefield and protected, I'm like, we've already won. I feel really good. So we're going to swing it for 3, knock our opponent down to 25. That'll be 3 total commander damage. And then we'll go and pass the turn over to our opponent. Last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to the Patreon, you get your name at the beginning or the ending of the credits if you'd like to join. And if you can't join for whatever reason, no worries. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would certainly appreciate that. So now it is officially free time. We can have some fun. Oh, do we have Dan? Okay, Omnixilus. That's good. I got worried about there being damnation. But yeah, long story short, tell somebody about the channel. But now it's officially free time. We can have some fun. So let's go for Scalding Tarn. We're going to crack this one and grab ourselves a dual source. We do have Chromatic Lantern, and we're playing against Mono Black. So it's not really going to matter. But at least we'll just go and grab Sacred Foundry. That way we don't have to shock it in later. And then our opponent's going to get down a 5/5 Demon. And that's going to be a -2. So that's going to put down Omnixilus all the way down to 1. And let's see what we run into. Run into Temple of Triumph. So we do have Labyrinth Champion in our hand. Whenever you cast a spell that targets it, deals 2 damage to any target. So that will allow us to at least kind of deal with the Omnixilus on the battlefield. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 mana at this point. I think I really do like going Labyrinth Champion because that's really going to allow us to start spreading out some damage once we start casting some of these spells. So let's do that. Let's go Labyrinth Champion. This can be 1, 2, 3. And that last red mana. And I don't think we're going to swing into that demon. They'll just kind of chew up Feather. So we're going to get on Labyrinth Champion. I just love thinking about him just in his own little maze. Just getting creatures. I like it. Let's go Temple of Triumph. Let's get the Scry going. The Scurry. The Fever. The Insanity. Young Pyromancer. That does set up for us up for a really nice board state, but if we're running into a board wipe, that just really sets us back. We can go Mizium Tank. We've got Settle the Wreckage to kind of ramp just a little bit if we want to bring it back to our hand. Yeah, let's do that. Let's still go and put Young Pyromancer on top. I like that card. And then we'll go and pass the turn over to our opponent. Now, one of the things that we can do, even though we do have Lightning Greaves on the Feather, this deck's not 100% just, let's target Feather with many +1, +3, plus whatever spells. One of the things that, I did have an idea for Feather. One of the things that I wanted to do is basically just kind of build a Spellslinger deck. So you can see right here, we got Labyrinth Champion, we've got Mizium Tank, we have Young Pyromancer on top of our library. Crypt Gas. So one of the things that I wanted to do was just really get some really nice, just kind of value board states. We get Labyrinth Champion going, we get tokens with Young Pyromancer, we end up getting Mizium Tank just kind of spinning its tracks on the ground before we can start swinging in. That's kind of what we wanted to do. And so let's go Young Pyromancer. Now here's the downside. We don't have any way to deal with Crypt Gas at this point because we have to target a Labyrinth Champion whenever you cast a spell that targets it. So unfortunately we can't do that, but we can do some setting up. So we're going to go for Chromatic Lantern, 2 off of Soul Ring. So let's go Young Pyromancer. We'll get down Mizium Tank, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed we get some sort of cantrip style effect that's going to allow us to start drawing some cards. Let's go 1 more red mana, get down Mizium Tank, and then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, really just, this is one of those cards. We may end up cutting it as time goes on, but I really just wanted to have some fun with Mizium Tank, and especially in a Spellslinger deck like this. So we're going to go and pass the turn back over to our opponent. But yeah, long story short, this is kind of a Spellslinger deck. This is pretty much what we want to do. All we do is we just need some sort of spell that's going to generate some value. But I was talking to PJ about any sort of tips or tricks that I needed to put in here. If you don't know, PJ is from Commander Replay, and if you're not subscribed to his channel, go check his channel out. He's part of the EDH Lounge. He does some really good multiplayer videos, so if you want to watch some multiplayer videos at the beginning of each that player. Okay, so that's not exactly what we want to see with Cruel Reality, but we can survive that. If we can just somehow get lucky with a Young Pyromancer, then we can get a few extra tokens to kind of dodge that Cruel Reality. And then even if we have to, we can just straight up just cast a Settle the Wreckage and get it back. I don't really want to go for that just now, but man, if we can get down Labyrinth Champion, then we can really start dealing some damage to our opponent. I'll kind of finish that PJ story in a second. Let's see if they're going to swing. All right, no swinging from the Demon. We're going to get into a little bit of a holding position. And if we just go Settle the Wreckage right now, we're going to be able to get it back. We're going to target our opponent. Yeah, this is kind of a clunky play, but really kind of want some of this stuff to stick around. So we're going to go for Settle the Wreckage. That's going to get Mizium Tank going. That's going to get a Young Pyromancer token, and we're still going to get Settle the Wreckage back at the beginning of the next upkeep. So, all right, so we're going to get Mizium Tank turned online. It's going to turn into a 4/3. That's going to give us an Elemental. Because at this point, Labyrinth Champion and Young Pyromancer, they're like gold at this point to us. We want to keep them on the battlefield. So that's going to be another Elemental token. Settle the Wreckage. There's no attacking creatures. So they're not going to get any lands, but they can shuffle their library up. And we'll go and sacrifice an Elemental token. And that way we still kind of keep the same board. Oh, there we go. Sheltering Light. Okay. So at this point, we can swing in with the Mizium Tank. That's going to make it a 5/4, give it indestructible. We can end up going for Labyrinth Champion, too, to deal some... Yeah, I think we really need to deal with Crypt Gas. So let's do this. Let's go and swing it. Man, that was a beautiful draw. Thank you, Magic Gods, for that. So we're going to use Labyrinth Champion to swing in an Obnixilis. If we get it to trade, that's perfectly fine. If not, we can still go for Indestructible and deal that 2 damage to Crypt Gas. And that'll give us another opportunity to kind of back off our opponent's mana and hopefully kind of deal with Obnixilis. All right, so opponent's going to throw the Demon in front of that. Let's go Sheltering Light on Labyrinth Champion. That's going to give us a Young Pyromancer token. We're going to do 2 damage to Crypt Gas. It would have been nice to get rid of Crypt Gas, get rid of Obnixilis, but at this point, we need to get rid of that doubling mana. That's going to be really brutal for us. So, all right, so we end up with Elemental, and Plains. We're definitely going to put that on the bottom right now because we've pretty much got all the mana that we need. We just really need to start kind of sequencing some stuff. And what we can do, once we get that at the beginning, get that back at the beginning of our end step, or the beginning of our upkeep, I think we can actually deal... Yeah, that gets returned to our hand. And I think we can actually do this. Sheltering Light on Feather. Let's go Sheltering Light on Labyrinth Champion. Oh, look at that. We're going to be able to get this. Oh, look, this is wonderful. All right, so we're going to send that 2 damage to Obnixilis. That way they don't get to untap with it. Deal that 2 damage up top. Exile that. And we get an additional scry. So at this point, Boros Cluestone, let's put that on the bottom. Okay, now we're really getting somewhere. And then we're simply just going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So we're going to get that back at the beginning of the next end step. Now, that does kind of get rid of the indestructible. We maybe should have waited. But with the Obnixilis, you know, if they're going to be forcing that 1 life, and I'd rather just go and get rid of it before they can do anything this turn. If they've got a board wipe, they've got a board wipe. Oh, but what PJ was saying is, you know, you can use Settle the Wreckage to, you know, if you're building a token build to swing in with your tokens, go for a Settle the Wreckage and get, you know, a ton of basics on the battlefield. One of the hard things that Boros can't do is ramp. So... being able to have, oh no, we got Liliana. Okay, now if they end up going Liliana, they're being able to take care of young Pyromancer, and that's really going to kind of stop us on Cruel Reality. Yeah, that's a good choice. Even if we had held on to Sheltering Light, they still would have been able to go for the -1 ability, which would have been around Indestructible. So we can still at least kind of target Labyrinth Champion with a couple different spells. All right, well, not anymore. So they're going to take care of Labyrinth Champion. And hopefully, we're going to be getting that Indestructible spell back. We did scry 2 cards away that weren't actually, you know, spells that target. So we'll see what we can do with this. But hopefully, we can get a few more things going. But losing Young Pyromancer and Labyrinth Champion was not exactly what we wanted to see. Yeah, and we'll wait for the Sheltering Light because what we can do is we can turn on Midgame Tame. So we're going to sacrifice Elemental Token and then Swiftfoot Boots. Okay, so that's not what we now what we can do is we can go Swiftfoot Boots. That's going to be 1/2. That's going to get Museum Tank turned on. It's going to make it a 4/3. And then we go Swiftfoot Boots on the Museum Tank. It's going to fall off either way, so we might as well just go and put it on something. Or if we want to, we can go Lightning Greaves on the Museum Tank. And that way, once we get Swiftfoot Boots onto Feather with our opponent completely tapped out, that's going to allow us to start targeting Feather. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit better line of play. All right, so then we shift this around one more time onto Elemental. And let's go and push in. And since this does have Trample, I think we can give it 5/3. Yeah, let's go and push in Museum Tank at Liliana. I like that. And then we can swing in Feather at Liliana, give it Indestructible. Yeah, let's go and do that. Because that way, whatever way they decide to block, if we want to trade with one of the demons with Museum Tank, we can go for that. And then once we go for Sheltering Light, we'll be in a good spot to kind of make sure one of those creatures is indestructible. All right, so they're going to go for a double demon block. Let's go Sheltering Light on Feather. That's going to make Museum Tank a 5/4. It's going to trade with the demon. And then Sword of Feast and Famine. That is nice, but I think at this point, with a Cruel Reality staring down breathing down our neck, man, I just don't know if we can really take advantage of it before we have to sacrifice a creature. So let's just go and put it on the bottom. And so we're going to make Feather indestructible. Then we got the Lightning Greaves on Elemental. I think we're fine with that. And we're going to get that at the beginning of our next end step. So that does put us in a spot to where we can go for Sheltering Light, at least during our opponent's turn. That way, if they do have a board wipe or something, and with both of our creatures being protected from Liliana, at least we're going to be able to stop that +1 ability. So let's see what they end up going for this turn. All right, so we're going to go for the Liliana activation. Okay, we're going to see Kuon come down, Ogre Ascendant. Like I mentioned, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I do apologize. But you can definitely see where earlier in the game, if our opponent didn't stick that Cruel Reality, we'd have been in a pretty good spot with Young Pyromancer and Labyrinth Champion. But that's one of the, simply just running Crypt Gas in the deck. Even if you just get 1 turn of extra doubled mana, that's what makes Mono Black so good, is just having those really unique effects like that. So before we go to the end step, we're going to go for... We're going to make them at least cast something. Ooh, Chaos Wand. So we're going to go Sheltering Light on Feather. That way we can at least get that, return it back to our hand and get that scry is mainly what we're looking for. And then 10th District Legion. Yeah, let's go and put it on the bottom. At this point right now, we're just looking for some sort of card draw, because we can find a spell that draws a card. That's going to allow us to hopefully get ahead of this Liliana and hopefully kind of dodge this cruel reality. Because even if we do leave a creature on top, unless we can find something like Monastery Mentor, that's not going to be good for us. In fact, are we going to go Sheltering Light just to dig again? Yeah, I think so. Because at this point, we just want to scry away as much as possible until we can hit a draw spell. Imperial Recruiter. So we'll go, actually, yeah, that'll be pretty good. Imperial Recruiter. Yeah, that'll be perfect, because that'll be Monastery Mentor. And then we can start, yes, that is perfect. So we're going to sacrifice this Elemental. Get out of here, partner. We're going to go for Imperial Recruiter. It's going to be 1/2. And that'll allow us to grab a Monastery Mentor, and especially allow us to bring back that other creature and really kind of start to get ahead of this cruel reality. So the only thing is we have to watch out for that Ogre Ascendant ability. So we're going to go Imperial Recruiter. Let's get this popped out. Yeah, we need to go Monastery Mentor. We need to. So we're going to go Monastery Mentor. Let's go Monastery Mentor. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. And that'll give us just enough mana to end up going for the indestructible spell. So we're going to go Lightning Greaves onto Monastery Mentor. There we go, make sure Monastery Mentor is protected, and then we're simply just going to go and pass the turn with 1 open mana, and that way we can at least make either one of our creatures indestructible before we go to our opponent's end step. So I'd like to swing it at Liliana, but we're not really worried at this point right now with them getting to the ultimate. We've got Feather that has flying. Once we're able to really kind of start to chain together some really good monk tokens, we might be able to kind of push past our opponent. But the main thing is we're able to dodge this cruel reality at this point. And our opponent did get down a Chaos Wand, so that's something we need to watch out for. We do have a ton of instant or sorcery spells. The only good thing about our deck is there's just, you know, if our opponent ends up going for, all right, adios Imperial Recruiter. He's like, hey, I did my job. Found somebody who can actually do something on the battlefield. So thank you, Imperial Recruiter. But the good thing, you know, if they tap out 4 mana for a Chaos Wand and they run into like Defiant Strike, you know, that's, I'll take that exchange with Chaos Wand. So we don't, All right, opponent's gonna go Liliana Dreadhorde. Ooh, man, if they go for that -4, that is gonna be rough. Okay, so let's see what they end up going for. Man, it's funny because, you know, there's sometimes where I make a new commander and I try to, you know, we get one good video and it's, okay, each player, okay, so we're going to have to go Sheltering Light on Feather. That's going to give us a Monastery Monk token. That'll be an additional prowess. So we're going to get Scry. Now, I might be tempted to actually just end up leaving Monastery Mentor on the battlefield and sacrificing Feather. If we might end up doing that. So we'll see what we can do, because I think Feather... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Even if it is 7 mana, we can at least recast Feather and kind of dodge that -4. So we're going to get Feather indestructible. Ancient Tomb, let's put that on the bottom for right now. And we're going to have to, yeah, I think at this point we sacrifice Feather and the Monk token. So we're going to do that. So we're going to sacrifice Feather and Monk. All right, that's going to force them to get rid of a few other creatures. And at least next turn we can swing in at Liliana and keep her off the battlefield. So they're going to be able to at least cash in 2 card draw. But yeah, like I was mentioning, you know, there's sometimes where I build a commander deck and we just like end up with a perfect game and everything shows off. But we're, you know, we're really having to put this Feather deck through the ropes right now. And this is pretty fun. So, oh yeah, and I forgot. We could have. Well, actually, we couldn't have targeted them with Sheltering Light either way. So we're gonna have to get rid of Monastery Mentor. Oh, that's a bummer. All right, so Windscarred Crag. We'll get that down, gain a life. And we can still end up taking care of Liliana. So we'll go Feather. We'll be 5 total mana. Let's go Swiftfoot Boots. Yeah, because if we end up going Lightning Greaves, then we can never end up going for for Sheltering Light. So we're going to go Swiftfoot Boots onto Feather. That's going to allow us to push in past Liliana. And either way, this has been a good game. I've enjoyed it. So we're going to swing in at Liliana Dreadhorde. That's going to get rid of her, get rid of that sacrifice. You can see how backbreaking that sacrifice effect is from our opponent. Okay, and then anything else? Actually, yeah, we'll go and go... You know, let's wait for Sheltering Light from our opponent. That way, if they've got some sort, we could try to spam it, but if we had an extra piece of mana at this point, we would try to go for that. But we're going to leave up Sheltering Light to give it indestructible. That way, if our opponent's got a board wipe or another piece of removal or something like that, we'll at least kind of go for the stop effect. Now, so we've had Young Pyromancer go to the graveyard. We've had Monastery Mentor go to the graveyard. We still have Recruiter of the Guard. So if we can find Recruiter of the Guard, that allows us to find another some style effect. We do have Gutter Snipe in here, as long as Gutter Snipe, yeah. Let's go and cross that off too. So Gutter Snipe's another thing that we can go for up to one target creature. So, and actually this turn we need to start swinging at Liliana. So as long as they don't get in a flying threat, we should be pretty good. So we've got Myth Realize. That's another thing that we can kind of get some good stuff moving. If we can find, I think, Tethmos High Priest, that's gonna, whenever we cast a spell that targets them, we can bring some of these creatures back. So we do have some options to kind of rebound back from this. Outside of those particular creatures, I think that okay, so we got Necropotence. Either way, this has been a very, oh yeah. So we'll go and let's go and yield to this Necropotence, and we'll go and let them do as many things. So we do have a couple different options. We do have Dust to Dawn. If we can get Dawn into the graveyard, we could bring a lot of creatures back. But with them going for Necropotence, that's going to be pretty rough for us. Now, that wasn't a huge Necropotence, so they just ended up going for 4 of them. And I think we still end up going for, yeah, I'll go Sheltering Light on Feather. Maybe we'll exile that, bring it back, and still get the Scry. Boros Locket, let's put it on the bottom. Now, we do have a lot of draw spells in here. We have Expedite, Reckless Rage, Titan Strength. We have different things that allow us to draw some cards. So hopefully we'll run into some of these spells sometime soon. So it's going to be 4 off Necropotence. But unfortunately, now if we want to, we can take 1 turn off and swing in at Feather. Swinging for Feather, that's going to put them at 6, put them down to 15. I wonder if we can just dodge. Because if we're thinking about it this way, with the opponent on Necropotence, if we're playing to our outs, if we're going to win, we need to get as much commander damage in as possible. Oh, but we're going to have to sacrifice our creature next turn with Cruel Reality. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, I just now remembered that. So there's really not much that we can't draw a card. I guess we still go Sheltering Light just to give it Indestructible to get a Scry going for the turn. And then Wasteland, let's put that on the bottom for right now. So we're going to have to sacrifice Feather. It's going to send Feather back to the command zone. And then we run into Memorial to War. So let's check out Feather again. That's going to be 7 total mana. We've got just enough for Feather. So that's going to be 1 more mana. We go Memorial War. That's going to end the battlefield tapped. And at this point, we do need to have a haste option. So I guess at this point, as much as I'd like to go over it after our opponent's life total, I think we're going to have to let them go for... Yeah, I guess. We could swing it at Liliana, but with that sacrifice effect... Yeah, if we're going to close it out, we need to get lucky somehow and deal just a ton of damage. So, because we get into this point to where if we just end up going Cruel Reality every single turn... And we do have Wear Terror in here too, so if we can run to another spell, we can get rid of that. But at least we'll be able to bring Sheltering Light back and kind of get that exile effect. But yeah, at this point, we're going to have to try to maybe get lucky with a ton of card draw and deal a bunch of damage to our opponent. But our opponent is certainly, they have earned this board state they've developed. This has been a pretty fun game so far. Okay, we're going to see Playcrafter come down. That's going to get rid of Feather. Then now the Cruel Reality is beginning to set in on us that we're going to be losing 5 life every single turn. So it's not going to be good. They're going to get the Liliana ultimate. Like I mentioned, we almost need to just kind of, yeah, I don't know how. If they can't, yeah, we're definitely being held under the water at this point by that dude. Oh, and we got hit with the Hymn to Turok too, just to to seal the deal. Okay, so we've got the Horde coming down. That's going to be 2/2. And then we're at Brave the Elements, which is not really going to help us out. We can go Feather again. Let's double check Feather's casting costs. It's going to be 6, 9 mana. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got exactly 9 mana. But we've got that. So yeah, we're just kind of in a lock spot right now, so... Yeah, I think we just passed the turn to our opponent. You know, the thought of just going Feather into Lightning Greaves into sacrificing during our upkeep with Cruel Reality doesn't sound that fun. We could try to set up a Brave the Elements, but that's not going to give us protection from black at this point. So we might as well just see what sort of weird shenanigans we can get into. the odds of us winning are very, very slim. But, you know, if we're playing to our outs, and we need to build up as much stuff into our hand as possible. So that's what we're going to try to do. All right, so Soren Markov is going to enter the battlefield. Target player's life total becomes 10. Yep, that's this is, you got to know when you're defeated. You got to know when to lay down the feather sword and put your wings back in and just be like, all right, we're good. All right, so opponent's going to swing in for 4. That's going to knock us down to 6, and that's going to be a few more zombies. Even if we run into Wrath of God, hit the reset button. It's not looking good. Now, let's see what we draw into, but if you're keeping score at home, you can officially check the... Put this down to 1, and we run into Battlefield Forge. So I know what we're going to do. We're going to go Battlefield Forge, good game to our opponent, and I'm going to pop that up in the chat. And what a fitting way to just activate Battlefield Forge to just close the game out. So anyway, game to our opponent. They're going to be able to close it out on this one. You know, our opponent's playing a lesser-known mono-black commander, and they were able to string together a really nice win. You know, that Cruel Reality turn where we could not deal with Crypt Gas the turn it came down. We were fighting that the entire game. So it just goes to show you how being able to have some sort of amplifying effect like Crypt Gas is can be very backbreaking, because we were just playing catch-up the entire game. Now, as far as the Feather deck goes, even though we didn't win, we got off to a really good showing of what we're trying to do with this deck. You know, let's say we have Young Pyromancer stick around, we have Monastery Mentor stick around, we have Mizium Tank, we start chaining together these spells, Sheltering Light, Brave the Elements. We really start to chain together some really nice things, and you can definitely see where this is just such a fun way to take Boros. But unfortunately, opponent's going to get it on this one. We got to kind of put the deck through the ropes, get some really cool different strategies that we're going for onto the battlefield. But at the end of the day, our opponent closed this one out. So good game to our opponent. Really enjoyed the game. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.